All right, men, welcome to today's episode of, let's just start calling it Grounded in God. It'll switch soon. Today's episode of Grounded in God, how to rebuild the bridge of emotional safety and trust. So focusing on relationship side today. Um, so if your wife is saying she's not feeling safe with you, or if your kids seem to maybe be creating some distance from you, maybe in particular situations, or they seem to avoid you in certain situations. Like for me, playing sports was one of those. Um, they probably don't feel emotionally safe. And so we're going to talk today about how you rebuild that without having to be perfect doing it. So my name is Mike Frazier, MD. I'm a psychiatrist and marriage coach. I help high-achieving Christian men feel more grounded in God and have lives of peace, power, and purpose. So some guys in the program, guys are having more connection with their wives. Just look, when you feel more grounded in yourself, it's easier to have connections with other people, and they're more safe and they're more fun and all of that. In fact, one of the gentlemen's going on an overnight getaway with his wife, which is super cool, exciting, something they hadn't done for a long time. We're focusing on what we can control instead of what we cannot control, which is other people. We're focusing on what we control. We're tending to our own emotions better, able to recognize, okay, like, how am I feeling right now? Am I in a spot to have a good conversation? Am I not? It's going to be key to today's talk. Guys are just feeling more peace overall within themselves. When we feel grounded in God, we feel more peaceful. Most of the time, we also know how to tend to our emotions when we don't, which is normal. Of course, we're not always going to feel peaceful. Sometimes we're going to be mad. Sometimes we're going to be scared. Sometimes we're going to be, sad, and that's all fine. We just need to know how to tend to those. For me, feeling this more groundedness has led to some really good breakthroughs for some therapy stuff I realized, and made some good shifts for me with my, and so things have been better internally with my son, and externally seeing some good fruits there too. Softening of connections, feeling closer, sharing a little more with me, good stuff. Okay, and that's the fruit, right? That's the fruit of when you become more grounded in God, you feel better, and then other people start feeling safer with you too. As far as trust goes, I used to use this analogy of a brick house of trust, which I think is still good. Bricks are promises made and kept. So I'm going to take out the trash. You go take it out. That puts a little brick down. And eventually, after you keep enough promises to your wife and kids and work or wherever, right, you get to a place where people trust you to do certain things, right? And you can knock it down, okay, with something big, like an affair, for example, would really damage your relationship. A big lie that you've been hiding for a long time would damage your relationship. Being angry can break emotional trust, which is more what we're talking about today, kind of like a brick house thing. I think this is a good way to think about it. Okay, like I've broken my wife's trust by, having an affair. Okay, how do I get that trust back? I make sure I'm keeping all my promises. I understand she's going to be very sensitive to breaking promises, and I just got to build that house back up, and it's going to take time to do it. So, but what if it's something a little different? What if you're trying to rebuild or build for the first time trust in your ability to tend to your own emotions, or in other words, emotional safety? If you're trying to build emotional safety, it's a little bit different. Making and keeping promises isn't exactly how you rebuild emotional safety. Okay. And that's the goal. If your wife's saying, I don't feel safe with you, if your kid's kind of pulling away from you, what's missing is emotional safety. Also with yourself, right? That's where it starts. Like you being able to be emotionally safe with yourself. What we're going to talk about today will help with that too. So something, if you follow this podcast for a while, I have had significant issues with playing sports with my kids. So I would get mad when we were playing sports, and I would start getting physical with them. I wouldn't like punch them in the face or anything, but I would, get pretty aggressive, and I was bigger than them and, and stronger. And so, I would impose that on them, like if they were beating me or if I felt like they weren't. What I recognized recently is that, they weren't giving me enough like attention and saying I did a great job is kind of the bottom line of like what I realized recently in therapy was kind of at the core of that. Um, and so it would make me mad, and then I would get angry with them. Okay. But the other thing I would do is, instead of just recognizing I was getting angry, I'd say something like, I'm not mad, I'm just playing hard. Like, you want to play hard, I'm going to play hard back, right? This is competition. So I wouldn't really take responsibility for my emotions, and in fact I would mislabel them as something they weren't. And so that was scary to everybody. Eventually the kids would get to where they'd say, Dad's making quote unquote the face, which would make me even more mad when they would say that, because I felt like I can't even make a face. Like, what? This isn't fair. Like, you're holding me to this standard of like I can never have an emotion. That's not right. Okay, that's how I interpreted it. And so the kids would stop playing for a while, but I wanted them to keep playing. And so I'd like blame them. Oh, you guys can't handle it. You know, you're going to play, but you can't handle it if I play hard. Basically calling them weak. So you can imagine, right? Probably kids wouldn't really want to play sports with me very much if I'm behaving this way. So if they're beating me, if I'm going to go all emotionally crazy on them, not crazy, emotionally angry, right? It'd be kind of a little dangerous and threatening. They probably wouldn't really want to play that much, right? And my wife too. Okay. So the analogy I came up with, I was on a run the other day, I felt like God kind of gave this to me, I wanted to share it with you guys, is just the analogy of a bridge. So we're playing, right? The kids are trying to cross a bridge of playing a fun game together. That's what they're hoping to do. That's what we're kind of all hoping to do. And then when I got angry, it was like that bridge going out. So they're driving along, they're having a good time, and then all of a sudden, boom, the bridge is out. Okay. And it has crashed to the ground. They fell into the river. They had to break the window to get out, right? It was a traumatic experience for them to have this bridge go out, right? So after something like this happens, okay, it's like if you were driving a bridge to work, right, and one day it just went out, okay, you'd probably be kind of worried to go back on that bridge again, you know, especially if you were driving to work and you heard that bridge crack a little bit, or you felt it sway a little bit. You know, you don't want to get off that bridge as soon as possible because you do not want to be in that river again, right? And so that's what's going on with your kids, right? Or your wife. If you have behaved in an emotionally dangerous way, emotionally unsafe way, they're very hesitant to cross that bridge, and they're looking for any kind of sign that that bridge is unsafe because they were scared, right? They got into a very dangerous situation. So they're watching for signs. Okay, is this bridge safe? Is it not? It's gone down before. And if it's gone down multiple times, okay, now they're really looking for any kind of anything that sounds like it's not safe to cross, right? And they're going to pull off as soon as they can. Might not even want to cross it at all, okay? And so with that, though, it can start feeling unfair. It can feel like, man, like, so what? I can never have a little creak. I can never sway at all. You know, that doesn't seem fair to me, and it's not really. Okay. It can feel like you have to be perfect, which seems unbearable because really it is. So, again, like this is on the run, this kind of came to me. Well, this is where we enter the bridge signal man, we'll call him. So the guy that's at the front of the bridge that can tell you the condition of the bridge, right? So he can stand there with a green light and say, hey, come on across, no issues, this bridge is safe today, okay? So that'd be a green light. He might also give you a yellow light, say, hey, look, guys, you know, today this bridge is a little unstable. You can still get across, but, you know, go slowly, go cautiously. You might hear some creaking. You know, it might sway a little bit today, but you can still get across. You know, it might sound a little bit off, but it's okay. Just be careful, right? And then there's also red. Red is just like, hey, don't cross today. The bridge is out, or it's totally not safe. Do not go across this bridge today. Okay. So what I want you to understand is, like, you know, the emotions you have, right? They can be whatever they're going to be, right? Your job isn't to always have your emotions be calm and steady and joyful, right? That's just not reality. Sometimes your we'll just call it your emotions that bridge. Sometimes they're going to be yellow. You're going to just feel a little bit off today. Things are going to bug you a little more. You're just a little more irritable. You can still have conversations, but it's not going to be as good as usual. Or, you're going to that game with your kids, and you'd still be able to play, but you might get a little bit mad here and there, and kind of have a face, right? But you're not in this place where you're going to freak out and get super mad at them, right? Or there's going to be days when, and this can happen, like just using the example of the sports game, like you can start green and then you can start feeling yellow and then you can go to red. That's pretty normal, right? That happens. Your emotions shift pretty frequently. And so your job isn't to never have dangerous or unsafe emotions, right? Your job is to be able to know for yourself where you're at. Okay, am I green? Am I yellow? Am I red? And then to let people know, okay? Say, hey, like I'm in a green place right now. Let's play. Let's have fun. Hey, I'm in a yellow place. I think we can still play, but just be careful, or I might go to red, and if I do, I'll step away. And then when you do feel that internally getting to red, right, and this takes body awareness, physical awareness of where your emotions are. Emotions are happening in your body, so you need to pay attention to your body and what's happening. So for me, it feels red, kind of feel my jaw set a little bit, which is probably the face that the kids are talking about now that I say that. Kind of like have a look. I can feel things change in my face. Now that I'm saying this, it's kind of funny because the kids say they can see a face. Like physically, when I'm trying to pay attention to what's going on in my body physically, yeah, some of it happens in my face. And so they see that as red immediately. And really, they're probably right. Like probably I'm yellow to red when my face does that, okay? So they're seeing it. They're giving me that feedback. Now, we'll get to this, but oftentimes telling someone else what their emotions are is pretty not useful and usually makes the other person upset. But, they were right. So, yeah, like your job isn't to never have those emotions. It's just to monitor them yourself and then let people know. Be the signal man. Hey, I'm green. Hey, I'm yellow. Hey, I'm red. I need to take a break, right? So that still lets them trust you, right? It's not that the bridge always has to be open. Sometimes it's going to be a little bit swaying and creaking. Sometimes it's going to be closed completely. You just have to be that signal man that lets them know. Okay, so you do not have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be open and green all the time. It's not possible. It doesn't make sense to hold yourself to that standard. But it is fair for you to be an adult and be able to let people know what your emotional state is. Okay. So you don't need to be perfect, but you do need to give accurate warnings and give people an accurate, statement of how the condition of that bridge. Okay. So this is why it's so damaging emotionally when you say, I'm fine, I signal that green bridge, I signal safe passage across, but then you freak out, right? So when I'm in that game and I'm saying, oh no, I'm fine, but I'm not really, like internally I'm not, I'm red, but I'm telling people I'm green, okay, the bridge goes out. Now, not only do they not trust the bridge, but they also can't trust the signal man, okay? So now, of course, they're not going to want to cross that bridge, right? Yeah, I'm not going to say you can't do that, but because you can, but you cannot do that if you want to build a relationship of emotional safety, okay? It's not that you can't ever have a red bridge, okay? That's not what I'm saying. That's what I want to get clear to you. What you cannot do, it's fine to have a red bridge. You just have to let people know it's red, it's out right now, or it's yellow, you're going to hear some creaking, or, so monitor your own internal state and then let people know where you're at. Because now a lot of times it's because we actually aren't very good at monitoring our own emotional state. So your signal man might actually think it's green when actually it is red. And other people maybe do see that better than you. And that's just where you need to build that skill of having the internal awareness to know, am I green, yellow, or red right now? Okay. Because if you say it's green and then they'd go and they're like, oh great, and they go drive and the bridge collapses, okay, they're not going to want to drive on that bridge, and when they see you at the signal and you say it's green next time, they're not going to believe it, okay? So it's just lack of safety, right? It's lack of safety on the bridge, and it's lack of safety with the signal man, okay? So, yeah, they lose that trust. So let's bring it together. Let's bring it back. Let's say I'm playing a game and playing sports with the kids, okay? So let's say we go into the game and I'm like, hey guys, I'm in a green spot right now. We can have a good time. I'm feeling good. If I'm starting to not get in a good place, I'll let you know I'm feeling yellow, or if I'm in that red spot, I'll let you know. I'll take a break until I can get to a green spot. Or maybe I just have to stop for the day. That could be too. And yeah, like maybe that's a little bit disappointing in some ways. It would be great if you could be green the whole time. But if it's much more important to just be honest about your emotions and where you're at. And when you step away, when you're angry, and you take a break and you go hit a punching bag or you run for a little bit, and then you come back in a green spot, you can say, okay, yeah, like let's have a good time. And maybe you do need to do some kind of intensive work. And if that's something you're interested in, come join Grounded in God, this program that we're going to start in January, and we'll do that together and try to figure out, okay, like these things that keep on setting me off, what's going on? So a lot of times it takes some outside perspective and someone skilled in helping you see that to actually see it. To be able to say that to the kids, you need to be able to recognize your own emotional state, number one, and then be honest about it, number two. Okay. So if I start feeling yellow or red, my job as that signal man is not to never feel yellow or red. It's just to let the kids know, hey, I'm feeling yellow, I'm feeling red, and you take a break. Okay. Also, you want to figure out if they're okay with you playing it yellow or not. Maybe that bridge has gone out so many times, they're really not, it's not going to work for you to be at yellow and still play, right? Proceed with caution. For them, maybe they've been burned so many times that proceed with caution isn't going to work. It just needs to be green or nothing. And that's fine, right? We're trying to rebuild emotional safety here. And so, you can say, hey, it's yellow. You're going to hear some creaking. Do you want to cross? Like, it is safe. I'm not going to freak out. But I understand if you don't want to cross, you want to turn around, you want to go back, that's no problem. Let them decide, right? Yeah. So again, if you've gone multiple times to red, okay, yeah, yellow may not feel safe at all to them. If they hear that creaking, they just may not want to cross it, and that's okay, right? You're trying to rebuild safety. Eventually, if you can stop at yellow enough times, you'll be like, yeah, let's keep playing. I know you can come back to green, pretty quick, and that's fine. Okay. So similar thing with arguments with my wife, right? There's going to be times when I'm green. Okay, I can listen, I can understand, I'm in a good spot. And then it can shift to yellow or red. And sometimes that happens like in the middle of the conversation or argument, right? So again, it's not my job to always be green, okay? But it's my job to let her know if I'm feeling yellow or if I'm feeling red, right? So if you're yellow, you can say, hey, like that last comment, I'm feeling a little bit hurt. I'm feeling a little bit irritated by that. I feel like I can keep talking right now. Maybe I need to take a few breaths to get back to green, but I feel like we can keep going. But that's where I'm at right now. Do you want to keep going? Do you not? Right? So that's you turning into your emotions, telling her where you're at. Okay. And then if you get to red, you're just like, okay, like the way I'm feeling right now, I can't keep going. I need to take a break, right? You stop. So again, you're being that signal man. You're telling her, hey, we can't keep having this conversation right now. Okay. So again, the other thing I would say is I don't feel like telling other people what color they are is very helpful. So if you notice your kid is yellow or red, teach them the skills you're learning, right? Check in with their body. Hey, you say you're fine, but check in with your body. How are you feeling in your chest? How's your breathing right now? Okay, do you think that's green? Is that different than when you feel more calm, right? So helping them realize, okay, yeah, maybe I am yellow, maybe I am red right now. If you notice your wife doing it, probably better to just tell her where you're at, right? Versus telling her, oh, I think you're yellow, I think you're red. Because she'll be like, well, you don't know me, right? And you feel the same way. Like if your wife told you, oh, you're yellow, oh, you're red, and you're really not, like then all of a sudden you are yellow or red because, you don't want to be told how you feel. And so neither does she, okay? And so just monitor yourself, right? If she's getting elevated, and look, sometimes we can tell other people's emotional state better than they can. That does happen sometimes, especially if the other person isn't especially skilled in noticing their own emotions. So for me, when my kids were telling me, they actually were doing a better job seeing my emotions than I was because I wasn't particularly good at recognizing them and saying them, okay? So it's possible, right? You might see, and with our kids, that's actually our job, right? To notice and help them learn, okay, what's going on with their emotions, help them notice it, okay? But yeah, with your wife, it's probably not going to go that well. So instead, if you notice her getting yellow or red, and you can tell, even if you're green, right, and you can just tell this conversation is not going to go anywhere, you can just say, hey, I'm not going to be able to continue this conversation right now, or hey, like, I don't really want to continue this conversation right now. Let's take a break and come back later. If your wife's like, no, we're going to do this right now, you always run away or whatever, just say, hey, yeah, you're right, I can't do it right now. Let's do it a little bit later. Let her calm down, come back to when you can do it, right? And the other thing too, you might be wrong in your interpretation, right? She might seem like she's at a yellow or red, and you could be totally off. And so if you're like, oh, you're yellow or you're red or you're mad, and she's not, okay, then you're going to really shoot yourself in the foot. Okay. So to rebuild trust in your ability to tend to your emotions and to rebuild emotional safety, you do not need to be perfect. You don't have to be on green all the time. You don't. Okay. The bridge doesn't always have to be open. That's not realistic. That's not human. Okay. Sometimes you're going to be yellow. Sometimes you're going to be red. But to rebuild emotional safety, you do need to be a good signal man. You do need to be honest with whether the bridge is green, yellow, or red, and take appropriate action depending on where you're at, okay? So as your family passes through without your angry action, right, that's green, or they pass through situations like playing sports for me, or having a conversation, right, maybe it's with some creaks, yellow, right? So like, okay, like I'm feeling a little irritated, but I think we can keep going, right? That's yellow. Let me take a few breaths here and kind of try to get back to green. Or you tell them, look, like, I can feel myself getting angry. We need to stop this conversation. I'm not going to do a good job here. So as they pass through, right, and they say, okay, hey, he said green and it was green. Or, hey, he said yellow, it was yellow. Or, hey, he said red, he took care of it. It was red, right? They trust you, okay? That's emotional safety. Okay, that bridge of trust comes back. They feel emotional safe because you're going to operate with them when you're in the green. You're going to let them know when you're in yellow. You're going to step away when you're in red. Okay, that's how emotional safety comes back. Not by you being perfect all the time, but you being good at telling them where you're at. Okay, so learn to do this with us in Grounded in God. Let's practice. Let's get good at this. Let's get good at noticing our own emotional state and expressing it to the people that we love. All right, this is good with work. This is good with all relationships. Okay. You want emotional safety, and you want emotional safety with yourself, okay? So with yourself, it's about saying, hey, like, yeah, I am feeling sad today, or I am feeling angry today. I'm on that yellow spot. I am feeling irritable. Even just recognizing it to yourself, yeah, that's fine. It's fine to feel that way. That builds emotional safety with yourself. You can trust yourself to tend to your own emotions, okay? So let's do this together. Visit strongmen.io. There's a place to fill out an application. Right now it still says all the old program stuff, but if you click on the Apply Now link, it'll take you to the new application for the new program. Looking for about 5 to 7 guys to join us for this first founders group. And it's going to be exciting. It's going from that feeling of pressure and performance to peace, power, purpose, building emotional safety for yourself and others. So yeah, looking forward to having you join us. If that sounds interesting to you, visit strongmen.io, click apply to join, fill out the application. We'll talk and see if it's a good fit. All right, stay strong in God, men. We will see you. Well, stay grounded in God, men. We'll see you next episode.